Well, Kyle,
Yes, Garrett?
I thought it fitting to wear all black today as we're going to discuss the darkest and the most deeply f***ed up beings in all of Shadowbringers.
I'm wearing black too, but what's...
Fairies.
It's true. Classic fairies, the Hansel and Gretel's, the Brothers Grimm. Yeah, nice, dark, cut off your toes to fit in the shoes, fairies.
We're going to talk about quite a bit today. We're going to cover a decent chunk of what we've played in Shadowbringers. I love those murderous little fae folk. They're good. They're good folk.
Yeah, they do well. It culminates in a great, I can't help but call it another Dragon Age moment. Like, gather the factions, they all come together, and it feels like gather the factions per zone, and then eventually our ending will be gathering the zones as the factions for the big Yulmore war thing that's building in the background. There's so many other little things going on, like
fairies.
Oriange.
They're little.
Yeah, well, but Oriange like having white aura sight. Like that's not important right now, but it's important.
He's going to a rough part of town. He wants to make sure he's strapped.
Exactly. And so when he whips it out later, we're all like, oh, yeah, that existed, right? That was foreshadowing. But we're in the foreshadowing thick of it. We just listened to the Crystal Exarch's big, it was a planetarium demonstration, not even a PowerPoint. It was very nice about how all the calamities come together and the shards do the thing. But we're still in the middle of it. That information might be false. It might be, what was the Obi-Wan line? From a certain point of view.
You know me, dude. It's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for the magic rules. They're a little convoluted for my taste.
I spent a lot of time digesting them, along with the Oriange poster diagram. You could think about this all you want, but right now, I don't trust it. I don't trust Oriange, and the Crystal Exarch is so cosmically connected, and his brain is wiring out to the universe. He's so galaxy brain that I don't even think he's speaking English. So we'll see how this all builds up. But right now, Oriange Magic School, I don't trust it. I don't even think that was a real vision. I don't think that. Who knows? Who knows? He's a squirrely one.
I'm not sure I see the Crystal Exarch the same way as you, because he seems extremely socially capable. You're describing like a Sherlock Holmes. It's just like they're too inside their own brain. They don't know how to function and be a functional member of society. Whereas the Crystal Exarch, I think he's too busy just being a good host. Like, he knows everybody's name in town. He's too busy running for mayor, even though he's not running for mayor.
He kissing all the babies. No, I get that vibe. And I wonder if he's gonna break. Like, it's just a little too happy in Crystal Exarch Town. Everything's going right for the guy. And granted, he messed up the summonings. Maybe the last 10 years or so have not been fabulous for him. And now things are on the up and up with the Warrior of Light and digesting all the light. Nothing could go wrong, of course.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And we got to take this in segments. This was a big segment, but it also had gameplay. There's some stuff in here, not all that important. I wonder how much Capybara people and the Amaro are really going to play in. But the real victory of all that small stuff that happened inside Il Mheg is I now like Ardbert. It gave him some emotional weight, some clarity to a situation. Obviously, I can assume that things sucked for him. He's been rather clear that things suck for him.
He is a bit of a bummer, but you're right. He becomes less of a bummer. By the end of all of this, we start to have camaraderie.
Yes,
with Ardbert. It starts. You literally are like two warriors of light, yucking it up. It's when you've been at your job long enough that when you talk to someone else that you do not work with that has your same job, you connect on a level that other people do not understand.
Someone to share those moments with. It's someone who understands you, because frankly, our other Scions don't. They've been on their own journeys. I think it's a very strong story device, the whole time skip, to watch our other characters evolve, because we are, for the most part, that silent protagonist. We have to keep the Scions interesting to facilitate the story. And I think Shadowbringers is doing an awesome job of reinvigorating Scions that maybe had become a little complacent or just sort of stuck in their whole, or in the case of Y'shtola and Thancred and most of the ones were hanging out. Actually, Y'shtola, Thancred, Urianger, like 3 of our main scions we're hanging out with in this expansion. Like we didn't see it all in Stormblood. Particularly Urianger, just like farted off.
That's a very good point.
Bye.
And we've been away,
boat ride.
we went away from Alphino for so freaking long too, even though we did see a good amount of Alphino in Stormblood. But it's a lot to get into, including Minfilia.
Oh, yes.
Before we move on, do you want to watch us play through Final Fantasy XIV? There's 2 eyes. There's no way it's this.
Then
V's. Okay.
Head out, Mr. Carr. Thank you.
All right. Vigil said V's nuts.
V's nuts.
I can't do this. Got a tweet the other day that's like, I literally have no idea how to find your stream. And it's actually rather straightforward. It's right here on YouTube. We're not on that purple themed site that makes you sit through like 15 ads before you get to start watching the person's stream. No, we're right here on our YouTube channel, the Grinding Gear channel, youtube.com/AMoveTV, because they won't let us rename that URL and I've had it for a long time. Come join us for our live streams every Monday and Thursday, and a little bonus morning Thursday podcast recording for you. Enjoy. We need to talk about the fact that Yulmore wants war, and Crystal Exarch seems more than happy to give them that war.
I like that.
I do too.
Man.
I do too.
It's fresh. We went through Stormblood with a lot of people who didn't want war. Naturally, war sucks, and Stormblood war, maybe Eorzean war sucks.
It's not the planet. That's not the planet. We're on the source, Kyle. You can't call it Eorzea. Eorzea is just the one continent. You gotta call it the source because that's the whole planet.
I purposely said it. I purposely said Eorzean war sucked because I think the Domans kind of had fun with it. Like the Domans, the people of the steppe, like they seem to be having a better time with war.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. That's good.
Then the grand companies were.
You win.
But we get introduced to our mini boss, our side villain, General Ranjit.
Yeah, who reminds me of... Hold on, I need to look this up. One sec. I'm going to Google. Uno momento.
Eventually.
You know who Oshit Ranjit reminds me of?
Who?
Tatsu from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The shaven head...
Yeah.
I don't know what actually I don't know what the fighting style in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were, but probably some mix of like everything. But I don't know if he was a kung fu master or a karate master or a taekwondo master, but the shaven head right hand dude of Shredder in the movies. And I don't think did he show up in Turtles in Time? I know I was a Genesis kid. He showed up in Hyperstone Heist.
he was the head of the Foot Clan. Yeah. And Shredder was on top of that. All fathers care for their sons. I still like that speech. I think Shredder's great.
The first 2 live action Ninja Turtle movies, dude, I'm all about them. Big fan. Also, the animated one that is essentially a sequel to them.
Yeah, with Patrick Stewart. That one's actually really good.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit of like video game pushback in my head of like, oh man, we're 3 expansions in. What does the guy with fists do? But there's the monk job that, of course, is powerful and it works well enough. But he is owning everybody. Like this guy is high level.
Yeah, he kicks our ass, which is he magical?
Maybe he's empowered, but I don't think so. I think this is just expansion escalation, and he's the general of the Yamoran army, and as such, he embodies the power and represents what Yulmore is capable of.
That's fine. But this is why I need just a number like Dragon Ball Z. Give me a scouter. Tell me what your power level is so that I understand that even though you just kind of look like your garden variety dude, why you can kick my superpowered rear.
I trust at this point Final Fantasy to not retread itself, but it feels like we're going down the Xenos route again. And we're going to fight this guy and do a little better and do a little better, and eventually we'll beat him.
I think the twist is also with Ranjit's attitude, because he seems absolutely put upon. Like he is the teenage kid that does not want to take the trash out. He's annoyed that we won't just stand down and succumb to Yulmore's rule.
Folly. The death of 1 or 1,000 sin-eaters changes nothing. The world is dead, and writhe as we might, like maggots and its rotting corpse, it will not be reborn. Only by my master's grace may we live out our days in peace.
I think Xenos just, he had there's a reason that was all covered up. I think he was flying full mast every time he was in combat with us.
So you think Ranjit's gonna like betray his leader?
No. I'm just saying that like Xenos lived for the fight, and Ranjit just seems annoyed that he even has to bother with us.
That is the nature of the Kung Fu movie master. Is I don't want to fight. I have to, and they win instantly. I'm enjoying him. I'm curious how they're going to Final Fantasy him into existence. And we have a nice little scene where, the Crystal Exar is talking with him and we're made invisible, which is...
Didn't matter. Ranjit can see us.
Yeah. Well, he's got the, I don't know, trained eyes or something.
Ether eyes? I don't know.
And it's probably not too complicated. It's more he probably saw like the dust move or something because he's so high level.
Yeah. But this is also where we find out about a new Minfilia, mini-filia, if you will. Like they start to explain it. This was teased. We're like, is that Minfilia? Why is she small? But this is where that all just starts spilling out.
He's here. I must go to him.
We're informed that, Minfilia's back, kind of. We learn of Minfilia reincarnations from our good buddy Morin, the librarian, over in the Cabinet of Curiosities. I'm starting to take a shine to this dude. I don't know why. I usually don't like it when it's like, all right, pause, it's time for lore. But every time we go back to him, I'm just like, I like you, and you tell me fun stories.
Well, he's straightforward. Like I said, we got Oriange, who's all his information is suspect. We got the Crystal Exarch, who is nice, and I think I agree with you, well-spoken, but knows more than he's telling, probably because if he told us everything, we probably wouldn't want to do the job.
Okay, so I think I'm going to take a page out of your book. You think that most of our posse just being down for war is refreshing coming out of Stormblood. I think having someone that just tells us straight up what's going on with the world is refreshing in light of Oriange.
Sure. I agree. And everyone's behind the Crystal Exarch, putting together this mission. We're going to use the dream powder to sprinkle over everybody. We do some cute Amaro stuff, but mostly it's about getting into this duty, this mission, going in there with our companions and saving Minfilia.
Again, who I guess was already broken out once by Thancred.
It's about Minfilia needing saving because she's being brought back to Yulmore after escaping. And this is not something that she wants. It's the placate the Oracle storyline, where someone is very powerful being kept in stasis or luxury so that they don't do the thing that they're intended to do. And in this case, it's killing Light Wardens. So they could be treating her in luxury. Instead, they are keeping her in super dungeon, apparently, and stopping her from advancing the world or saving it.
Yeah, I do feel like we're steamrolling past, though, the whole answer of what's even going on, which is like, this is like essentially a reincarnation. I guess this happened a few times. They talk about how whenever they talk about the first time they lost Minfilia, like our Minfilia that stopped the flood, dies, disappears. But then later on, a young girl with golden hair and the same eyes as Minfilia shows up and is immune to Sin Eaters. That's how they find the blonde hair, the eyes, and also, low key immune to the thing that's killing everybody. And they deem that new person Minfilia. It seems like there's only ever one at any given time until they fall for some reason.
There's something sinister about it, right? Like there's a young girl that keeps reviving, that they keep sending off to war against monsters. And clearly it doesn't work out. Maybe they're overeager and they should let her train up a bit. Maybe let her be a little older before she undertakes her legendary task.
It reminds me of two very weird and very specific things. Cabin in the Woods and the need to sacrifice specific archetypes of people.
Yeah.
And the Britney Spears episode of South Park.
Looks like next harvest will be even better.
Yeah. But her rescuer, Thancred, arrives to rescue again. And now he's sporting gunblade action. Does a little bit of a throwdown with Ranjit, but mostly we just run for it. And they know a special place where we can get away because it sucks, frankly, and no one wants to go there.
Also, you might get lost there forever or turned into shrubbery, as we learn later. Which we didn't, at any point in the stream, address this. But when we first got to Il Mheg, I was like, oh, they make hedge art. And there were a lot of people just doing very specific emojis in chat when that happened. And then we find out much later, that's not hedge art, it's people.
It's people. It's made of people.
We go to Il Mheg, we leave a duty I rather enjoyed. I rather enjoyed that duty against Renjit and saving Minfilia, and then we get into Il Mheg. It's shrouded in mist. Grumpy Dad Cred is on full blast and stays that way for the entire zone and into the next zone, it would appear.
Thancred's not having a good time. He's been through a lot. Again, I feel like I'm always saying this about Thancred, but yeah, he's been through a lot.
Yes, he has. Thancred has been through a lot, and little later on we even get that in more detail. But this is where we see the start of it, the relationship of Thancred and Minfilia, which is very much kind of put upon exhausted dad and daughter relationship, and then it's juxtaposed with a bunch of wacky fairies.
It's world building, right? Like Shadowbringers, anytime they introduce a small town, a new peoples, they're doing such cool world building ideas. Like I love the idea of finding the looking grass and being able to see fairies with that. I love the idea of the fairies handing out menial tasks that they find hilarious. Like it's just great storytelling going through it. Whether or not you might enjoy the gameplay of this section.
If this video were just me, I would do a big hand wave right here and go straight to Titania. I'd just be like, we meet Urianger. He's hot as hell. Mention some magic stuff that I did not absorb, and we pick back up at me loving the Titania fight.
We are going to dive into the intense gameplay of having to type Fe'ul. And then, please, Fe'ul, I need you. And then type yet again, oh, loveliest of branches, please grant me your succor.
I do love Fe'ul. I would die for Fe'ul. Fe'ul is friend-shaped.
Oh my God, can you imagine being on controller? Like, PlayStation players had to sit there, prompt up a keyboard. Hopefully you bought a keyboard to play this game, but maybe not. Like, prompt up a keyboard and type exactly these 3 statements.
We go do a bunch of fairy chores, and then we go to Urianger's manor, and he is the opposite of the Exarch. He is a terrible host and welcomes us with lectures.
Yeah, well, I love that he is perfect for the fairies. Like, he tricked them into basically housing them. They think he's the best thing on the planet with the way he talks. My
favorite thing about him is that he tricked them into thinking he hates tea so that they bring him tea which he loves.
It's adorable.
That's the best character beat of Urianger here, other than he literally stops you dead in your tracks and asks what we think of his absolute wonderful new drip.
A proud astrologian user.
In a world where he cannot see the sky, mind you, he cannot see the stars, and he chose astrologian.
True. Judging by the astrologian storyline, I don't know if it matters that much. Actually seeing the stars, but maybe he's just excited to see the stars someday. I don't other than like throwing cards like an expert, I don't really know why Urianger became an astrologian yet.
Do you need a better reason than throwing cards?
It looks great on him. Like, and if that's all that matters, like, that's fine by me. The job looks great on him, and I love having it represented in the main scions. Urianger shows us his vision. He goes on a school about magic, which explains Black Rose and its potency due to stasis and how we had magic backwards on the source. This is all mid expansion. I've worked to digest it. I still don't think it's concrete yet. Let's talk about Thancred.
Let's go from magic that didn't capture me to character moments that didn't capture me. I get exactly where this is coming from, and we get to see it courtesy of Echo Powers, we get to actually see the moment where our Minfilia inhabits Miniphilia and talks directly to Thancred.
As I am now, I am no different from an Ascian.
It really hit me until Thancred opened his mouth again.
He's literally under the social experiment of what if you had to choose between your sister and your daughter? It's a fascinating sci-fi fantasy question. Thancred isn't handling it too well. He needs to get all his shit together in a bag.
All your shit, so it's together.
It's not choosing. He wants his daughter to be his dead sister, and
Right.
it's unhealthy.
It is.
And problematic on a lot of different levels. And also just the way he goes about. I understand Thancred being sad. He lost essentially the closest person to him, had a chance to actually talk to her again, and that departed soul straight up told him, I can stay here with you. I can give you what you want, and I choose not to.
And what of my wishes? What of Flamine's? What of all the people who love and care for you and want nothing more than to see you again?
I love that. I love that parallel to the Ascians. Like, dude, I can hang out in this body. We can be together again, but you were possessed, weren't you? Do you really want this? And he's like, well, yeah, maybe. It's like, Thancred, calm down.
It's how you, to me, everything with Minfilia is awesome. It is probably my favorite part of all of this, outside of the fact that I just like the Fae. I like Fae Ol. I find them very charming and extremely deeply disturbing, which means I like it. But everything here with Minfilia, it's how you write extremely heroic and infallible characters in an interesting way. This is in line with like some of my favorite Superman arcs, because just throwing another strong enemy at Superman is boring. You need to find a way to challenge Superman on his moral code and find reasons for him not to just punch his way out of the problem. And that's what they have here with Minfilia. She has all the power in the world. She can reincarnate herself in full Minfilia as we know her glory, can put her memories into this child and take over. She chooses not to. That's wonderful. I love everything with Minfilia here. Thancred gets into my whiny Anakin stuff that like abraises me. I love Thancred. He's one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy XIV, and I just kind of want him to be over this already.
He's emotionally distant. And to me, it very much is a father figure. I kind of think of military dad, or even the dad from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, if we were in the positive. Like, the guy can't express himself. He's stiff. He's constipated. Thancred has to work through this, and he's not, probably because he wants to keep his head on the mission. And, you know, mini Minfilia is useful. She's enchanting his bullets, a la Outlaw Star.
Oh, I just started watching that again. I'm so glad that you pulled that up.
Yeah, the caster bullets. She's been trained as a rogue by Thancred. He's taken on the tank job for her, which is really kind of a cute duo there. But the head pat, a lot of people in our chat found it very sweet. I thought it was purposefully stiff. And if anything, that hand just lingers on her head too long, like a system of control. And that's where I get the military dad feel.
Everything about him is trying to control Minfilia.
I almost feel like he's going to direct her around by the head after grabbing her.
Which would be inverted controls, which is how you should play with a joystick. Yeah, no, everything's about control. He's gripping too tight. All I with every time Thancred's on screen, I just like, I think of every overprotective parent I ever knew growing up.
After Thancred's been so distant with us for so long, his character growth and the time that's passed on the first, it would be rewarding to see him be more emotionally available in this instance, particularly when it comes to taking care of a young person. But instead, he's really just a grump.
Yeah. And it's to a certain degree too. You could say that Minfilia, the child, is acting more like an adult than Thancred. A lot of these things are going on. I don't mind these types of stories where someone is like clearly in the wrong, but I don't like it when we linger, and I feel this has lingered. A really good example for me that I love is Ezra from Rebels. I think it was the very beginning of the final season. Ezra looks like he's gone to the dark side.
They're suffering, Hera.
Everyone is suffering, Ezra. You need to be patient.
He's an obnoxious, dark, brooding teenager, and in 2 episodes,
I believe you. All paths are coming together now.
that shit is over. And I was like, thank God. Thank God we got past this.
And what's going to knock Thancred out of this? If we're going with the drama of Final Fantasy, probably death. Like someone's going to die and he'll realize the importance of being present.
I think Minfilia is going to save his absolute ass at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be bad. I think Thancred's going to be on the verge of death, and Minfilia is going to be the one to save him, and he's going to realize just how capable she is.
Well, and she's got that, like, storyline of my whole purpose in life is to be sacrificed. Like, there's no way to live, but it's a great story device. No, yeah, you absolutely need it, right? That's what's established. Now we're here. How are we going to change it? You want to break that cycle. I think that's what we're being manipulated into feeling, and I don't use manipulation in a bad way here. I like this direction that we're heading overall. You know, too, it's just now hitting me. Thancred's rejecting himself a little bit here too, because he taught her. It's so obvious. She's wielding 2 daggers. Who do we know that wielded 2 daggers and isn't anymore? Who taught Minfilia everything she currently knows, because she's a blank slate. She's a new person. She's her own. She's not the Minfilia we knew. It was Thancred. So in a sense, by not trusting her, Thancred's not trusting himself and his own abilities to raise someone and give them the tools they need to fend for themselves. He's created what Minfilia is, and we get a nice little moment with her. You know, granted, we meet the dog. Everyone called them dog people.
They're not dogs.
No, they're cute. They got the big ears. I personally call them gaugelings.
They're
they got big holes for gauges.
These things right here.
Yeah, they're very Muppet. They're very Jim Henson.
Yeah, the faces are cute. The ears, I think, kind of take them into creepy territory a little bit. But I call them capybara people because they got that round upturned snoot. They look very rodent. I understand that they have like the fetch like call outs and stuff, and I'm just like, they're not dogs. These do not look like dogs.
No, they grew on me in the same way that Morsuk kobolds grew on me. Like, they just have a really cute world building idea that they love to serve, that they have this equal exchange. I'm going to give you the money so you can pay me culture. And it fills them out very quickly. And you're not actually with them that long until you go on a quest with Minfilia to get invisible ink. You're standing out looking at the castle. She's talking about her relationship with Thancred, and bam, the story's like, here's where we're going. Here comes the fun.
Here's where we're going. And then talking Amaro.
Yeah, well, all the same. Is it Titania? Is that how you say the name? Tanya?
Are we jumping to the Titania fight? Wonderful.
No.
Cool.
No.
So let's get to what actually matters here, which is the Titania fight.
They did the Fatal Frame giggling thing of come out and play with me with the fabulous accents that all the Fae folk have. It was a great little reveal as we gung in on the castle. But yeah, you are right. We got to go talk to the Amaro, which is strangely voiced by the Archbishop.
My medallion! You found it!
who did a very emotional job, but it was kind of hard to get over the fact of it being the Archbishop. But this is where we got to collect 4 items, 4 keys to get in the castle to defeat the Light Warden, who is king of the Fae folk, and we get to go to a dungeon.
Full of Squirtles.
Squirtles, the Lisa Frank dungeon, the Mario Golf dungeon, whatever you want to call
90s
it.
90s Trapper Keeper dungeon.
Yeah, very much so. Puppies and unicorns. The untouchable gates, the water spirits. I really enjoyed all the setup for this.
My brother had a Sesame Street game on N64 that this dungeon really reminds me of.
Okay. It was nice to see fully saturated Final Fantasy. Like, bright colors. It's a very muted palette usually.
It's typically very muted, yeah. And it has been on the first quite a bit because everything has like a tinge of gold to it.
Well, yeah, that's yeah, the first in general. So it made it all the more shocking. And that could have been very intentional to kind of knock you out of that daze that you've been in through all these zones so far.
Well, let's move on to Titania.
Oh, it's a fine dungeon. We'll talk about it in a wall someday. It's a fine dungeon. I love that they tried to drown you, and it introduces that first piece of the I'm gonna like Ardbert by the end of this. The the underwater, the destroyed city.
Yeah,
here.
that part I thought was really cute. I liked that. And then I think if you go back watch stream, I think I even yelled, but we can breathe underwater. And they played up
sure
that.
can.
Yeah, it was good. Ardbert, like, I don't know how you learned how to do that, but it sure came in handy. It's just like, yeah, man, we've been through some shit.
Stormblood happened. But we absolutely, like, the Archbishop Bird, we fight some Lightward, like, we collect the items, we succeed in our quest, we take him to the gate. Let's talk about that.
It comes to a head, it comes to a chapter close with going and fighting the Light Warden Titania, which establishes that not all Light Wardens look like crazy light-infused monsters.
Yeah.
Some are just beings of their realm.
Right, so we know that when you kill a Light Warden, their ether goes into you and you become the new Light Warden. I figured it more of like a Tesleen effect, where if you look like this, like Holminster Switch Final Boss, and you kill it, you absorb it, you become Holminster Switch Final Boss. But this informs that, like, maybe other people or things we've met could be Light Wardens? Like, Head of Yulmore?
Well, yeah, right.
Could be like a Light Warden.
It calls
like,
into question, right? Is giant baby Jabba a Light Warden too? But he also just looked like he was hanging out. That lion is totally a Light Warden.
Could be. I mean, the angel wasn't one, so maybe the lion isn't. Maybe he's actually the Light Warden.
Oh, that's a good point. But we've seen multiple angels now. We've only seen one lion.
Yeah. Either way, Titania encapsulates this idea that you do not become Light Warden looking when you absorb. I love that they're trapped in this castle. They just want to play. And it's a fun fight.
I love this trial.
Super flashy.
Apparently was spoiled on this. Didn't even realize it when we looked at the screenshot demoing the new lighting that's going to come in 7.0.
Oh man, if those windows actually project all that colored light onto the battlefield, that is going to be a sight.
Yeah, it's very pretty. I really like the look of this. Love the look of Titania. And then the fight itself is great. It's got all these ads that come out that are little vegetal plant monsters, but then we have like a Rita make my monsters grow moment. And they just rise. Hey, I'll never get sick of watching things rise up on the edge of the arena in Final Fantasy XIV. It will always make me go, oh shit. Always going to yell when it happens.
Big monsters, man. They're great. There's a whole like Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare, Fae folk kind of theme going on here.
I don't know any of this.
It's like you don't have to. The
Romeo and Juliet and Othello, those are the only ones I've read.
The only part that really confused me was the giant fist. And all I could think of was Patrick Star from SpongeBob.
And there comes a giant fist!
Everything's plant themed, everything's fairy themed, except for her one giant orange fist that appears in space.
Someone's going to be like, oh, it's from this one very specific Final Fantasy.
You know what? That actually probably is very true. So were the capybara people. Apparently they were from another game.
So anyway, we end up defeating Titania. Spoiler alert! Oh my God, we're victorious.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we get more light.
And then we get into
the light.
Yeah, and then we get into Mandalorian Lich King rules. Like there must always be a king of the Fae, and because we bested Titania in combat, we could claim it. Which for a hot second, I'm like, wait, how are we gonna deal with this? It's like, well, yeah, you could do that, or we could just let Feo Ul become king. Which then Feo Ul is now named Titania, but looks like Feo Ul, just with like an awesome gown and bigger wings now.
I'm getting a Hook vibe from this.
Hook?
Yeah, Hook. You know, when Julia Roberts, Tinkerbell, it like wants to become big to like romance. Hook's a weird movie. Hook is a very weird movie.
I love Hook, and I had such a crush on Julia Roberts in that
movie.
Movie.
Well, yeah. That's why you have the short hair and everything. Like it's a very hooky look that would go from little tiny fae folk to big tall fae folk, and you know, put proportioned fae folk.
Fair. It happens very quickly. Like after, to me, a very long zone that seemed to drag a bit in places. It's like, all right, let's go murder some Yulmorans, because now Feo Ul is king and is Titania. So they show up to the fight. All the fairies just unleash on the Yulmorans. Mm-hmm. This is where we find out where those pieces of hedge art actually came from.
Shrubbery, yeah.
It's wonderful. I loved this whole part. I was giddy. I'm pretty sure I like clapped while we were streaming.
Well, it was the climax. The new mower there, the little Squirtle dudes, which again, like that dungeon's pretty cute. This is a pretty classic scene in a lot of cartoons where the bad guys underestimate the cutesy warriors that are now pulling out their hair or casting spells on them. In this case, I mean, literally like insta-killing them into the shrubbery.
I wonder if maybe that can be undone. It doesn't matter.
we didn't like who it was, the Yulmore army. We don't really like them. I don't think we're going to spend too much time reversing the spells.
They can stay that way. Yeah, someone give me some hedge clippers. I got some alterations I want to make.
And the pixies agree that when war comes, they'll join if they feel like it. Our war table grows for the final battle, whatever that may be.
This is sorely lacking a Normandy. I need a little like area in the hall where I can go and visit Feo and hang out and say what's up.
I feel ya. But victorious, we head back to the Crystarium where Ardbert ate my sandwiches.
Ardbert wants to eat your sandwiches.
He wants to eat my sandwiches, but he can't. No, but this is that moment, man. Like Ardbert and me are starting to agree, right? We had that little moment with Seto. I'm starting to meet his pets. He's met my pets. He's talking about my chocobo bananas back on the source.
I really liked the outcome of this because when we went to talk to the Amaro, at this point I was fully checked out. I was like, if I have one more fetch quest before I go fight the King Fairy, I'm going to yell. But then when we got to Ardbert, I loved the outcome of the fact that we met his trusty steed. Ardbert cracks a joke about, he couldn't talk back then. It's like, oh, a sign of life in emo-ass Ardbert. He's got a personality. He's bonding with us. How you doing, buddy? I loved, this is my favorite scene with Ardbert so far. I really enjoyed it. It's the heart of Final Fantasy XIV that I really like. It's a big reason this game's kind of won me over, and a lot of it's on display here with Ardbert. But there's another very big reason Final Fantasy has won me over, and that's our good friend Emet.
About whom little is known.
I mean Solace, who we finally meet. Like us, the character, Warrior of Light, Alphino, the twins. Like we finally get a face-to-face with Solace, who just comes out and says, hey, I'm actually Emet Selk. Maybe you've heard of me.
I am Emet Selk, Ascian.
Alphino, you dumbass, walks right into the city and is like, all seems well in the Crystarium, and like the camera's panning around like, playing the little music. Oh, look at people being happy under the night sky. And Alphino's like, this is perfect. Seconds later.
So for our viewers that may not have watched our live stream right here on this YouTube channel, that's where we stream, Kyle's a little scarred because he paused literally one click away from Solace showing up, and it made our stream very angry. But we didn't know. We didn't know what was next.
How would we know? Oh, it was honestly one of the funniest unintentional trolls. You're the one spoiling this. Look, Alphino literally says all seems well in the Crystarium. I don't know what you all are excited about. We don't know what you're all excited about. We're literally just playing the video game. We're not doing this there's no way we can do this on purpose. We literally don't know. But Solace walks out, reveals himself, and kind of shows his whole hand.
No, he does not. There's no way. There's no way he shows his whole hand. He wants to form an alliance. There's no way. He gives us his name. He reveals himself immediately as an Ascian. That's it. There's no way that is Emet's full hand.
Oh, I mean, first of all, the cheesy like face wipe he does. His Ascian mask has a six-pack right in the middle of it. It's got abs. He's an Absian right there in the middle. And it's a nice projection, whatever, these Ascian things are called. Oriange's, immediately down with who this is.
Were one to study the annals of Garlean history, one would find yonder visage on many a page.
But I think he does show quite a bit of his hand. He goes on a big speech about the night sky and how frustrating it is to see and how you've delayed the rejoining, and then immediately kind of bounce back like, okay, a new plan. I'm going to watch for fun and no other reason.
Cooperation. I will not raise a hand to hinder your hunt for the Light Wardens. If you desire it, I will even lend you my knowledge and strength.
Dude, I keep saying we're eating light. No, we're a bag of light. Like, Light Wardens existing, the stasis flying across to the source. What do you think we are? Like, we're not destroying any of that power he's looking to use for the rejoining. We're merely sucking it in and embodying it.
Well, that's the thing, too, because he seems perfectly happy to observe us destroying Light Wardens. He talks about he's just been watching us, and he's going to continue watching us.
Because he's not losing anything.
Though I dare say, you do not know our motive.
And also that he's a projection. He's not actually physically there. Not that it would matter, I don't think, because he's got a billion copied bodies back home. Although I guess it does matter, right? Yeah, because then we can't kill him with White Aura Sight.
Exactly, which Urianger is sporting in his pocket. So Urianger throws a card at him. Again, Astrologians need ranged attacks, and I want that to be it.
You're right.
Ranged autos.
That would get me to play Astrologian.
I need ranged card autos. And reveals that he's just a projection, so we can't defeat him. And we don't know where he really is right now. It makes him a bit of a coward, naturally, but he admits it. Like, he doesn't want to get blown away like La Habrea did. That was a dumb mistake. So he's going to take precautions.
As if that wasn't exciting enough and we didn't get enough Emet, we get Emet and the Exarch meeting.
Yeah, Exarch's as cool as a cucumber.
He's almost, I would say, like annoying levels of well-adjusted.
Right. But that's why I think he's a little too far gone in the God brain kind of zone. Like he's playing 4D chess and he's been playing it so long that he's not aware of the danger.
I think he's just happy-go-lucky, borderline Goku, where it's just like he's our rock. He's our emotional rock that's gonna, hey team, keep it together. Like that's what I think's going on with the Exarch. I don't get Galaxy Brain. I don't get. I think he does. He's playing 4D chess for sure, but he's not lost in it.
I don't see Final Fantasy doing anything happy with the Crystal Exarch. The story does not end well.
All I'm saying is that the Crystal Exarch is happy, living his best life.
We start to get our next mission. We're going to go find Y'shtola. We're going to look for another Light Warden. And frankly, Emet wants to tag along and make sure we're not too boring and requests of us that very thing. Don't be boring, whatever you do.
Which explains why we didn't see him at all during this bit.
Ooh. Damn. I mean, you're not... on the Emet chart of interestingness, these aren't our opinions. It's literally Emet's opinions.
Emet is the needle that tells you whether or not what you're doing is interesting. If you can see him, he's interested. If you can't, it's a fetch quest with dog people.
So he liked the solo duty because he showed up on top of the castle.
Yep.
And then I guess he didn't like Titania's fight. That sucks. I thought that was great.
I thought it was great. I disagree with you, Emet.
Yeah, but he rejoined right after that, so maybe he was watching.
It would be a good Easter egg to have him up on the staircase. Like while you're fighting, if you just look every once in a while, he appears.
So we have entered the wood, and we know that you can talk to him like you would any companion. I really hope they hide him around a bit. Like,
it would be. Yeah, I realize he doesn't have to show himself, but right, I think that would be a nice touch.
It'd be great to find him in a tree and click up on him. Like if you're doing one of those searching for the object trial business quests that you could find a little Emet in the corner, peeking over and looking through.
I have one question for you, which is what the hell do you think Emet means by saying
allies worthy of bearing the burden of truth?
Is it just more bullshit? Could like he's telling us that being like, oh, he really trusts us, or he's just being a dick because there's no way he's actually telling us the truth.
So my full prediction is that 4 Light Wardens, 1 Warrior of Light filled with 4 Light Wardens, they're the same thing. Like whatever sacrifice, ritual, spell, rejoining explosion that was going to happen, it can happen regardless of Light Wardens or us being filled with that light. So basically, what he's saying is, I'll tell you how it's going to go down when we get there, because what you're doing right now doesn't matter. So it's a little bit of that I want the truth, you can't handle the truth moment. Is he going to rehash Varys's speech in a way? Like, once we're full of light, is he going to be like, hey, I've got a great idea. Hey, great idea, fans. How about we sacrifice you and cause the rejoining? Probably not. But clearly he thinks that if we knew the whole truth, we would be more into what he's planning. And maybe he's thinking about overthrowing Zodiac. Like, what level of, fantasy story are we going for here? That could happen. It would be impossible to pull that off.
It's a little treads the folly of the Emperor, though, because he's like, we're gonna do what the Ascians want, and then we're gonna betray them.
Right.
And just like, okay, buddy. Okay, bucko. It's great. I really like that bit. It's completely unhinged.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to like double layer that of like, I'm going to do the rejoining and then I'm going to become a better Zodiac, or I am Zodiac. That'd be an interesting one but it's a little convoluted at this point. It could be pulled off, but I don't feel like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm just enjoying these character moments. I'm a little down on Thancred right now, so I'm enjoying Emmett showing up and just throwing this monkey wrench of personality into the mix. Cool. I can't wait to see Y'shtola.
We'll Lahi next time.
Lahi!